we need to talk about puppet hair. There are a lot of different ways to give your puppet hair. You can use yarn by looping it around some cardboard and tying it in the middle, then attaching to the puppet's head. You can use feathers instead of hair. They have great movement to give the puppet more life. You can even buy tiny wigs for dogs, or go to the beauty supply and fashion a puppet wig using hair extensions. Or use any wig making technique used in the doll making world, like wefts, weaves, needle felting, natural fibers, glued fibers. There's a bunch of different ways. But my absolute favorite way to give my puppets some hair is to use faux fur. Let me show you several techniques you can use to give different hairstyles and facial hair to your puppets. Over the last few years, I've been making a lot of puppets, as you can see behind me, and I sell patterns for many of these at ballyhoocreations.com. I'll link to my shop in the description box. Let me start by sharing some puppet hairstyle inspirations with you. I have a Pinterest board with a lot of puppet hairstyles I found on Pinterest. I'll link to this in the description box so you can find this website. You should never exactly copy the puppet of another maker. That's considered kind of rude. But it's perfectly legit to admire the work of others and let it inspire you to create your own characters. For this video, I'm going to focus on making hairstyles with faux fur. You can find faux fur in fabric stores. It can be expensive. This stuff runs $55 to $60 a yard these days, but you don't need to buy a whole yard of it. Fabric stores will usually let you buy a quarter yard. Craft stores sell small cuts of fur like this for a few dollars. And this is enough for puppet hair. You can also shop on Etsy for small cuts of faux fur, or check your thrift stores for furry items like vests, blankets, things like that. I'm going to demonstrate a drape and glue method, as well as making a wig with a pattern. And then we'll play around with 2 different ponytail styles and a slick back hairstyle. And finally, we'll look at options for facial hair in case you want to add a beard, a mustache, eyebrows, sideburns, something like that. Sound good? Let's get started. I'll speed up the video in some places, so hopefully you won't get bored. I will put the video speed on the screen somewhere when I do that. The first and easiest method is to drape and glue fur onto your puppet's head. Start with any piece of fur and see how well it fits. You might need to cut some away. You might need to cut a slit to make it fit better. And you might not have enough fur, so you'll either need a different piece, or you can change your hairstyle, like make it a mohawk or a balding man. Your hair will look better if you turn under the edges of the fur before putting it on the puppet's head. If you're using a glue gun, make sure it has a detailed tip. If you're using a fabric glue such as Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac, you can use a pen or a toothpick to apply thin amounts of glue to the edges of the fur and turn them under to hem the sides. Be careful with your glue so it doesn't show on the head or the face. The second method is to make a wig for your puppet. If you're using my Ballyhoo human puppet pattern, it includes a wig pattern to fit this puppet. If you're using a different puppet pattern, you can use the puppet's head pattern to create your own wig, or cover the head with plastic and then use tape to cover the hair area and draw the hairline. Then cut that out and flatten it. Cut slits for darts in order to get the pattern flat. And once you have your pattern, use it to mark and cut out the fur. And then just sew the darts and seams for the wig. Keep in mind that the wig does not need to fit perfectly. It is not like your puppet is going to be complaining of the wig chafing his head. And you can even change the head shape by putting stuffing under the wig. How about a cone head? After you have your wig stitched and hemmed, you can decide where to place it, and then glue or hand stitch it in place. If you're hand stitching, a curved needle might be a great thing for you to try. Now that we've got a base of hair on the puppet's head, let's look at some embellishments. If your fur is long enough, you can grab a chunk of it and make a ponytail. I'm using tiny rubber bands sold in the hair aisle. If you want longer ponytails, you can use small amounts of fur glued or stitched together and attached to the wig. You can add these ponytails by either gluing or stitching on the top of the wig. You can also cut a slit in the wig and sew the ponytails from the underside so they'll be more secure. If you want a slicked back look, you can mix white glue and water to create a hair gel for your puppet. This gel is not machine washable, but it holds up nicely as long as it stays dry. Little scraps of fur can become eyebrows, mustache, even beards. Use your glue to hide the raw edges and play around. For a mustache or eyebrows, the direction of fur matters. Make sure it's pointing out and away from the center of the face. Create a mustache by attaching two pieces together and glue it in a tube shape to hide the edges. Beards can just be a triangle, or you can create a more elaborate shape if you want. Big beard, little beard, everywhere a furry beard. I feel like that was a lot of information in a very small amount of time, but I wanted you to know about all kinds of ways you can embellish your puppet using faux fur and other materials. Did you have a favorite style or technique? Tell me down in the comments.